All right, welcome back to Salt City Counseling, everybody. Once again, my name is Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful state of Utah, and I got a parental alienation video today. And I know a lot of people want help with parental alienation. I say this all the time. It's a very difficult topic. It's a very difficult thing to help. It's a very difficult thing to really address. Quite frankly, it's trying to guess which parent is the problem in the situation, or at least holds the share of it, right? And I've seen a plethora of different situations, but this video is just going to be kind of this is one of my rules for my course on parental alienation. So I do have a website up. It's still a little bit of bare bones. I'm still working on it, gonna piece it together bit by bit, work on it when I can. It is highconflictcommunity.com. The link is in the description below. And today I'm going to share one of my rules, one of the things that I think is really, really important in a parental alienation situation. And this is just one of the, how many rules? I'm going to look at this thing. To be honest, I made several courses. There's 10 rules. Or 10 skills on my parental alienation course, with a whole bunch of other stuff like a pre and a post on my parental alienation course. And so you can find that on that website. I have my courses up. My 4 courses that I have right now are high conflict co-parenting, high conflict custody and divorce, high conflict communication, and parental alienation. I do have plans to put up other courses, like on custody evaluations. I have plans to put up courses on basically like altruistic parenting to help reverse parental alienation, or to avoid, or to how to parent, or maybe even how to step parent in situations where there's a high conflict ex or a high conflict parent involved. And so again, in this video, I'm going to share one of my rules here. One of the rules that I think is really important. One of the rules that I think is important in general, just parenting in general. Even if you're not in a high conflict situation, I feel like this rule is just going to be important anyways. So this video isn't necessarily applicable only if you have parental alienation happening. And so before I get into this, I'm going to share my screen here in a second. But before I get into this, let me get some housekeeping out of the way. If you're new here, please subscribe, like, share, comment. You know what to do. If you really like my content, you can really help me out. Help me keep this content moving to you. Hit the tip jar. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Stay tuned for my upcoming channel, Therapy for Teens and Youth, Young People, Young Adults, 10,000 Ronin, coming up soon. You will be notified. I will publish a video when that channel, well, it's live. There's just no videos on it. So I'll provide a link. I'll provide a description. I'll provide a video when that comes along. So make sure you hang tight for that one, because I think it'll be beneficial for kids. I know that even though I do a lot of mental health therapy for teens and young people, this channel is just not geared that way. This channel is pretty dense, to be honest. A lot of dense stuff on this channel. So 10,000 Ronin will more so be geared towards young people. I think that if you have viewer questions, scottc at saltcitycounseling.com, or you can leave a question in the comments below. Just make sure that it's really clear for me. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to this. So this is skill number 9 of 10 on my parental alienation course. Again, over at highconflictcommunity.com. Okay, number 9, skill number 9. Don't take your kids so seriously. Okay, so don't be so intense. And I'll get into this in a second, but this is a a meme that has amused me for years. I think it's funny. Show it to your kids, like, hey, look at this. This is funny. And then I'm going to move this over here so we can see all these bullet points. Okay, so here's the thing, is that most parents that I work with, they're just way too intense and serious. I mean, in general, they are way too uptight. They need to unnotch their belt just a little bit. Most parents, they just take things way, way, way too seriously. They are just wound up way too tight. And so it's really important to not take things so seriously and not be so intense, okay? High conflict parents are extremely intense. Different. Now, you have to keep in mind, let's say that you have a shared custody situation. keep in mind that if the kids go over to a house where there's a borderline or narcissistic parent, they're gonna be on edge all the time. They're walking on eggshells. They're like, ugh, they might live at fight or flight, just sort of depending on the situation. Um, and so things that the high conflict home may be super duper intense. And I've had a lot of parents tell me that, hey, when they go over there and come back, they are not doing well. And usually by the time they finish time at our home, they seem more relaxed, they seem more chilled, they seem like they're doing better, and then they got to go back there. So, but and so that's good. It's good to provide a home or an environment that's not, just not so intense. Be different. So take a step back. Just take a step back. Now, what I've noticed is the high conflict types, the high conflict parent, they have a tendency to influence the culture in the other home, even though they don't live there. And it's important to be like very, very deliberate, very conscientious of how are they influencing our family culture in this home? How are they is their intensity, is their chaos, is it spilling over into our home? And often, almost always, the answer is yes. In fact, I would assume that anybody struggling with something like parental alienation or high conflict co-parenting, that the high conflict parent is in fact influencing the culture in your home to some degree or another. And it's really important to maybe stop and ask yourself, like, what would the culture in our home be like if they were not around anymore? What would we do different? How would we try to structure the culture of our home? And so it's important to be really deliberate. Okay? So the kids will become less intense when you are less intense. A lot of times parents that are dealing with parental alienation, they will tell me that their kids are just super, super intense. And so one of the biggest mistakes I find in general that people make when it comes to working with teenagers or interacting with teenagers or dealing with teenagers is they follow the teenager's lead. They let the teenager set the tone. So if a kid walks in and they're like this, then suddenly they go from like, oh to, oh well, now I'm this way too. And in my world, I really believe that one of the reasons why I am, I set the tone for things. And I usually find that if I'm really insistent on being less intense or being more relaxed or being more chilled, um, it's not long before the kids start to follow suit. They start to mirror my attitude. So the kids will become less intense when you're less intense. And even if your less intensity is met with their intensity, so what? Stay with it. Don't compromise, okay? But you got to learn to laugh at things a little bit, right? You got to make some jokes. But just so you know, you are way, way, way easier to gaslight when you're being super intense. Now, in my parental alienation course, I talk a lot about gaslighting and how gaslighting plays a major, major role in parental alienation and why you should look at gaslighting and how gaslighting happens in that particular circumstance in order to reverse or alleviate or just mitigate, that was the word I was looking for, mitigate the parental alienation. So try to have fun. Just have fun. And I've talked to a lot of these parents where they're like, they won't participate. So have fun with or without them. Have fun anyways. Do your best to have as much fun as you can, given a lot of the circumstances. If they choose to opt out, they choose to opt out. There's a little bit of a kind of an altruistic parenting angle that I like to take, where it's just like, we're going to have fun, whether you have a partner or there's other kids involved or whatever. And it's like, hey, we're going to go do fun things. You coming? And if the kid's like, no, and they're really intense, okay, well, let us know if you change your mind, or we're just going to be outside or whatever. If you want to join us, you can join us at any time. Do your thing. That's cool. And then have as much fun as you possibly have without them. And it will help bring that intensity down, okay? Laugh a little, take a step back. And sort of my general approach is like, even though we're dealing with serious issues, doesn't mean we have to be super duper crazy intensely serious. Right? Because that's what the high conflict parent does. And we don't want to continue that culture. We don't want to allow them to set the tone for a family that they don't even necessarily belong to anymore, right? And so this is really, really important. Like, take a deep breath, let it out, let it go. Hey, I You don't have to be really intense. This doesn't mean just laugh things off or brush them aside or just discard or just like, whatever, Bobby. It just means where even if the kid is being really intense and the kid's like, I'm really upset, you go, okay, what's going on? You don't have to be like, You go, what are you upset about? And you can just be relaxed. You can be like, okay, thank you for telling me how you feel. I'm glad you were honest. I appreciate that. Keep your voice low. Like that is one thing. Keep your voice low. Keep your body language loose when you're dealing with kids who are really upset with you. Just try and dial back the intensity. Don't let them set the tone. Make the decision that I'm going to be less intense in this situation. Okay? So that's one of my skills for my parental alienation course. There's several others. There's 9 others. So go check out that course. It's on my website. And if you ask me, really, it's very hard to find good information on this topic, and it's some of the best advice you're going to find. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.